Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our webinar this morning. We have got Raymond Roessel as well as Chante de Lange, who will give us a bit more information about opportunities there is in China. Raymond and Chante, thanks so much for joining us, and we look forward to your presentation today.
Great. Well, thanks everyone. I appreciate it. I'll say a big hello from here in Hong Kong, and Chante's in Hong Kong, but we're apart from each other. But we're excited to talk to everyone today to share a little bit about what we're doing, specifically with the PG of America and PacificPine, and then maybe even a little bit of just kind of broader opportunities in Asia and in China specifically. I don't know, Chante, you want to say hi and then I can kick it off?
Hi everyone. It's great to see everyone's names here, knowing that half of you guys send me messages wishing me good luck. But thank you for welcoming us and giving us the opportunity to share this amazing experience with you guys. Ray, the floor is yours.
Thanks. Just to give everyone a little background, I'm Ray Roessel. I'm the founder and CEO of PacificPine Sports. So we're a youth sports and education business. I'm a PG of America member for 25 years. My wife is South African, so I've been based in Cape Town now the last almost 4 years, kind of due to COVID. So I'm also a South African PGA member, and it's been great to meet a bunch of the members so far. I think we have 4 or 5 South African members that are working with us. We look at it as a great opportunity, and so I want to share a little bit and talk about PacificPine Sports and a little bit more about our kind of what we do specifically, and then I'm happy to also answer any questions just about stuff in Asia in general. And Chante, I think, is a great example. She's been with us for a little over a year, Chante, or just coming up to a year. Yeah. So, and I think I'll kind of be able to really just share some of her experience. I've been over here for almost 25 years, so I'm kind of the old guy. So I think her sharing some of her experiences will be great. But let me share just a little background on the company first, and we can go from there. And if anyone has any questions as we go along, feel free to raise your hand, and Divan will help us, and I'm happy to stop and answer anything. So, as I said, PacificPine Sports, we're youth sports and education. We work in 4 core sports: basketball, golf. So we partner with the PG of America. We're their exclusive partner in China. We have a 20-year partnership with them. They're a shareholder in the business. So we have a very close relationship with them. Doesn't mean that we only employ PG of America members. I think now, in terms of golf coaches, we have about 75 golf coaches that are with us. Our total company size is about 250. And that's anything from GB&I, Australia, New Zealand, South Africa. And then we have about, pre-COVID, we were about half foreign and half Chinese coaches. Right now, we're a little bit more on the Chinese side, just because it was hard to get new coaches in during COVID. In a totally post-COVID environment, everything's back open, and we're just starting to bring new coaches back in. So as a company, as I said, in tennis, we work with the ATP, and in football, we work with AC Milan. So, our goal is really to kind of work with global leading partners. The PGA has been fantastic. The ATP is very excited, and we will announce a similar basketball partner. As the company, while golf is our largest business, we have about 250 staff, and then overall coaches are about half that, so about 125 coaches now. We work with 8 to 12,000 students, and Chante, you can maybe talk about your student profile, but that's predominantly juniors and youth. So I'd say we're probably 75% juniors and 25% adult. In our football and basketball business, it's 100% juniors. In tennis and in golf, we teach adults, and we'll talk about some of the different facilities we're at, but we do some adult teaching. I mean, Chante, do you have that kind of same feel in your clientele that you're working with on a daily basis?
Yeah, we've got a youth younger from the age about 6 to 15. There's a 80% of juniors, 100%, and it's more likely the kids that really want to be involved, not the ones that you actually babysit and want to just come and hit. We see a future wanting to go and play tournaments. There's a big range in Hong Kong and Asia of kids wanting to participate in tournaments, so they're actually taking the game quite serious, which is nice because they've got the education and the brain to develop with you as a professional golfer. So that's very nice, having that mentality around other than just kids starting off and just wanting to hit the golf ball because their parents say.
Yeah, and I think for us, that leads. Was there a question or?
No, it was somebody's mic was on by accident.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and I think that touches on when Chante was talking a little bit about her kids. I think what's unique with our program, we focus on kids and then we provide that pathway from never touching a club. And that means, we work with now about 70 schools. My slide's a little out of date here. It says 42 school partnerships. We work with about 70 international schools across China. So if we talk about where we operate in all the big cities: Beijing, Shanghai. Chante's here with us in Hong Kong, and then we touch a few smaller cities. But that could be anything from offering, a snag class in their PE program where the coaches are going and actually in the school. Many schools, we have simulators or access to a golf course. I was at the Shanghai American School yesterday. They have a golf course on site. So we do, training right on the golf course. And then, Chante also, we bring a lot of our kids to our facilities. So the school kids will be coming, and that allows us to transition them up into our kind of group classes, and then from our group classes into kind of private one-on-one instruction. And again, I think we get quite often a lot of discussion about, who are our coaches, how do we train them? Chante's gone through a lot of this process, and if everyone else was interested, we spend a lot of time, pre and during the interview process working with the coaches. So what is it like to come work with us? How are you going to teach? And making sure that there's that fit, right? So are you interested in coming overseas, working with kids? And then it's a pretty formal process to go through that. We do background checks and everything's quite legal. Obviously in Asia, I think like South Africa, we do safeguarding. So all the safeguarding checks that we had to do as a South African member, you have to kind of do that same stuff on arrival, but we handle all that for you. I think Chante, pretty easy to go through all that process if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, it was quite easy. Everything happened in a blink of an eye. I just got sent my ticket and everything. So yeah, that's easy.
Yeah. And then, just to talk a little bit about our facilities, and I'm probably going to just switch and show a short video because it's always nicer to see it on video. We operate in a multitude of different types of facilities. So we offer traditional green grass. So where we're at a golf course, green grass, running a full academy. Chante works for us right here in the heart of Hong Kong at our waterfall facility. That is a driving range on the top of a shopping mall. So you're in the heart of downtown Hong Kong, and in this range that's 100 yards one way and 50 yards the other direction. We do indoor golf, we do in-school golf. So I'll just flip. Let me just switch and just show you guys a little bit of what. And I'll talk through some of this. There is sound with it. I'll send a link back out that has the kind of the sound and audio, but unfortunately, I think due to some technical difficulties, we don't have any sound. This is our Mission Hills facility. So this is our headquarters. We have 30 coaches there. Kevin Smeltz, our director of golf, who leads our overall program, is based there. He was leads head of teaching quality and certification for 17 years. So at this facility, we have 10 golf courses. We have 2 of our own driving ranges, or 2-ended driving ranges, there. So massive, kind of massive facilities, full gym, exclusive for the academy. Again, a pretty big, a big facility there. You can see it here. So you're plenty of opportunity to. So we have 8 studios. They operate. Titleist, we have the Titleist National Fitting Center. TaylorMade has their National Fitting Center there as well. I know in some of the questions that were sent through, we use a range of technology, basically everything, from, depending on each facility. We have TrackMan, a lot of GC Quad. We partner quite a bit with FlightScope. A lot of our coaches have access to the X1, X3s. Almost every coach has a Mevo Plus to use if they're outside and traveling around. We use that in a lot of our schools. We also have a gas system, body track, basically all the technology. At each facility, it could be a little bit different, but every single coach has an iPad Pro and Coach Now. So every coach uses Coach Now. So we use quite a bit of tech. This is another private facility that we work at called the Hong Kong Golf and Tennis Academy. They don't have a golf course. It's just a driving range. And you can see that's all artificial. And we can turn it into a little bit of a short course there. As an example, this golf course, or this club, rands right now is about 8 million rand to join. That's Marley, who is a South African member who's not with us anymore. She's actually at the club I belong to just up the road. But she helped us open that and was with us for a couple of years. So fantastic golf, fantastic club, and a lot of nice members there. Jay, and I'll send this out so you guys can hear us. She's actually American, Korean American, and talking a little bit about life in China. And again, we have a lot of comments. How do you get around? Do you need a car? For us, obviously there's what's called Didi, which is the Chinese version of Uber. Super easy in Hong Kong. I think Chante could say she hops in a car, doesn't need a car, uses Uber. Public transportation, super easy, super safe. You have the ability in China just to tap and pay. So kind of similar to what we're doing, or SnapScan. They use a version called WeChat. But I think all that type of stuff. Maybe Chante, you can talk a little bit about kind of your maybe daily life experience and bank account.
Yeah, there was loads of questions that I've got my iPad here, guys, with all the questions and answers that you guys have asked. So daily life, as Ray said, they have Tap and Pay, they have WeChat Pay, they have Apple Pay. They've got all these. You do not carry a wallet. Wherever you go, you just tap your card, your phone, and there you go. You don't have to carry cash. It is very, very, very convenient. Let me just quickly answer this question. There was a question about lunch and dinner, like what do I eat, what do is lunch and work, where do I go? So there's various restaurants in the around the facility. Doesn't matter what you want. We have Western, Thai, Chinese, everything is there. It also depends on what you want to pay. So food here is very convenient. It is a first world country, so you'll have anything that you want. And day-to-day life, there's loads of things to do in Hong Kong. I think if I had to speak about everything that I do in my day-to-day life when I'm off and things like that, I could keep going forever and ever. So there's loads of islands around Hong Kong. I think, is it about 7 islands that is literally around that you can travel?
Well, I think technically a couple hundred, but yes, I think 7 or 8 main.
It's like 15 minutes from you. You just hop on a ferry, very cheap. You've got a travel card that you load on money and you tap and you hop on a ferry and you go to an island for a day, or go have a couple of beers with your friends, meet up and come back home. That was one of the important questions. How do we travel up and down? You've got an octopus card that you just load on money, and even on the subway, you just tap and you go, and they will deduct the money immediately after you tap out the subway. And it is very, very cheap to be able to travel up and down. Obviously, it depends how long you stay underneath the subway and where you're traveling to. Uber, very convenient. I did answer, I think on an email, I said, if I go on my night out, I will not use the subway, because obviously you had a couple of drinks. I just booked my Uber. They pick me up wherever I'm at. I don't have to walk anywhere. Me at my doorstep. Very safe. Me as a woman walking alone. I go for walks along the harbour front. If I can't sleep and it's like 11 p.m. at night, I get dressed and I just go walk along the harbour front. The nightlife here, everybody's so busy, and it's just work. So there's always people around you and around the street. So I think my day-to-day life is 100% safe. That was also one of the questions. And eating-wise, you can eat healthy. You can cook food. You can things that saved my life. I bought an air fryer, so because I love cooking. The places are very tiny, so and I work late, so I just pop everything that I want healthy into the air fryer, so I can store my healthy lean meals and not just eat out, although that's very convenient and very nice. And then I feel like I'm dwelling off questions. There's another thing that they asked.
Yeah, I can hop in for a second, Chante. I mean, a couple of the main questions, I think we were talking about language, so that's a very common one. Yeah, I'd say the two big differences for us, if you're in Hong Kong where Chante is, where I am now, English is fine. I think almost everyone you're going to be teaching is speaking English, or if they're not, they want to learn English. So at the junior side, all of our instruction's done in English, and majority of the time, even our Chinese coaches speak English and often will conduct lessons in English. In China, a little bit different. And so day-to-day life in Hong Kong, everything's in English. So you have typically no issues there. Maybe the taxi driver doesn't speak English, but they'll still know where you want to go in English.
You have like keywords. No
keywords, exactly. Definitely in China, it's different, right? So there it's Mandarin first. Luckily, again, with kind of the Chinese version of Uber, you can get around and it works in English. Within our work environment, all of our staff speak English, and then you'll have a translator if that's needed, right? So a lot of our coaches use a translator, or two coaches will share a translator. But again, especially with our juniors, with all of our schools that we work with, they're all international schools, so they're all in English. So the majority of kids, I would say, do speak English. That's quite common. Everyday life then inside of China, yeah, I mean, it's better if you can speak Chinese or learn a little bit, but it's, I think now especially in the bigger cities, very livable, fairly easy. And if you put a little bit of time in with the language, even just a little bit goes a long way. And then one of the, I think, other big questions that I see pop up on the chats, and then we're definitely in the notes, was kind of pay. So I can tell you a little bit about our comp plans, and I can't comment on how other academies do it. We give a base pay, and it depends a little bit between Hong Kong and Shanghai, or Hong Kong and China in general, but you'll get a base, and then within that, there's a minimum number of hours that you need to coach, or the first hour, those 60 hours are included. Depends a little bit on what level coach you are. So within our structure, we have 5 levels of coaching, but at the base level, if I think about it in rands, it's roughly 50,000 rand would be your base, and that includes the first 60 hours of instruction, And then from 61 to say 100 in rands, you would probably be 600 an hour would be the commission around that, again, depending on what level. And then if you go above 100 hours, again, it goes up maybe another 100 to 150 rand an hour. So I would say on average, our coaches in Hong Kong are teaching across the board 120 hours a month on average. Chante, I think over the year now, you're probably averaging just over 100 if I remember kind of looking at the numbers. So our average coaches in rands are probably making 80 to 120,000 rand a month. And then I'd say we have many coaches who are, closer over to 200,000. And then our top coaches are 250 to 300, right? And that's at the top, though. I'd say on average, it's probably closer to the 100,000 rand in that range. So, but as Chante mentioned, it's very much kind of eat what you kill. So at a minimum, we like our coaches to be coaching 80 hours a month. If you're consistently under that, I'd say that there's some issues there that we need to work on together. Could be marketing, scheduling, but Chante, I think you kind of nodded your head. I'd say if you put the effort in, the students are there, right? So if you're outgoing and you engage the clients, we typically find them very receptive. Often they're very new to the game, even the elite. The elite, there's kids that are elite, but you're often teaching someone who really wants to be in the game. Chante has a great little 5-year-old who hadn't picked up a club, and now the kid's flying all over the world and in love with it and taking, I don't know, 3 or 4 hours, 2 or 3 hours a week of lessons, right, Harvin? Yeah, so
5 hours a week.
Yeah, 5 hours a week, right? So he's investing a lot of money. And we have our full-time program that's about 800,000 rand a year to be in that. Then those kids are training 15 to 18 hours a week with us. So you have really passionate people who will fly from different parts of the country to see you. They'll take you to play golf. They'll do camps and trips with you. So there's definitely the opportunity to teach a lot of hours and make good money. Cost of living in Hong Kong, rent is expensive. I'll be quite open with that. I think Chante and I were talking earlier. She spends about 20,000 rand a month on rent, and she's in a little studio apartment. But then the flip side to that is tax is very low, right? So the tax in Hong Kong is max 15%. That's at the top end. But if you are making about 1 million rand a year, you will pay almost no tax. You'll pay maybe at most 100,000 rand in tax. So you'll pay
for under the 2.5%.
Sorry,
2.5%.
For you, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's quite low. China can be a little bit more. Again, it's scaling. It's a progressive tax similar to South Africa. Your cost of living in China is probably lower than Hong Kong, both in rent, definitely in rent for sure. And then daily life is probably a little bit less expensive than Hong Kong. But again, in both cities or all over China, you can get all the Western food you want. There's plenty of fast food, Starbucks, McDonald's, Burger King, and then access to good food if you want to cook at home. And then there's just tons of restaurants. So you're easy to eat out and do that. So and most of the clubs have nice food at the club. And then I'm trying to let me just look through some of the rest of the questions. And then there were quite a few questions about days off. Our coaches, for us, we're 5 days a week. You have the option to work 6 or 7. I'd say quite a few coaches teach 6 or 5.5 days. Again, that's purely dependent on, how much do you kind of want to make, right? So definitely in the busy season, when we run camp season, you might be asked to work 6 days a week. So there's that option. And then again, in terms of hours, it's, we like to see everybody teaching a minimum of 80 hours, but I'd say we have a lot of coaches that are 120. A busy coach might be 150 to 160.
There was a question about playing golf and getting on a golf.
Yeah. So look, I mean, that varies a little. In Hong Kong, there's only 5 golf courses. Four are private, and then the last one is 54 holes. It's public. Look, it's definitely more challenging to play. You have to take time to go do it. In Hong Kong, if you're a full PGA member, the golf courses are pretty good about letting you play for free. Clearwater Bay, where I'm a member at, I think they allow you to play 6 times a year for free. Hong Kong Golf Club is the same. I think most of them are 5 or 6 times a year for free. You need to get to know the guys at each of the clubs to arrange the times and that. The public golf course, you can make a booking and you just have to pay as a resident. If you go across the border into China, again, to kind of go out and play on your own, they usually offer a PGA rate, but to be honest, it's still fairly expensive. At each of our green grass facilities, it varies, right? So it's definitely not as easy as what we grew up with, where if you're the pro even working, you just hop in a cart and go play. We have 1 or 2 courses that are like that, but in general, it's it is a little more challenging to play. I was just down in Hainan. There, I think our team could play on the course. It's about probably 600 rand for them to play. Even if they're working, it's fine, right? If you're going out and doing a teaching lesson or something like that, then it's okay. But access to golf is a little more challenging. I won't tell you any different that. In terms of accommodation, again, we let everyone do their own accommodation. So you're willing to stay where you spend as much as you want or as little as you want. We will help you with that, right? So again, depends a little bit on what city you're at. I mean, Chante, I can't remember if we had you out at GTA for a little bit in the studios out there, or if no, you weren't. So we can help you
I came through on COVID. I had to quarantine, and I stayed in a hotel for a month.
Yeah. Okay. So no more quarantine. But look, we'll help you find it, and the team can get you settled. That's definitely no issue there, and it's pretty easy. Definitely Hong Kong, super easy. China, one of our staff, will usually help show you some apartments, and we typically suggest that you do something short term at first, get your feet settled, figure out where you want to live. Do you want to live next to right next to work? Would you rather live in a place that's near more restaurants or bars, or depending on what type of lifestyle you want to live. So usually a month or 2, maybe a service apartment, and then once you got your feet on the ground, you can kind of choose stuff on your own. And then there's a question of how reception of people of color, obviously very important, from South Africa. Interestingly enough, we have our director of instruction in Sanya is American, but Black. He's a master professional. He's loving it. And I think he probably even had a few questions to start with. Super busy. I think he did 140 hours last month, super outgoing. So I don't see any major issues. Chinese at times can be, they can be questioning, but I think if you're a good person, you're outgoing and a good coach, that's really what they're looking for, right? So, I think you have to speak English well. I mean, that's a given, because that's what they're looking for. But there's tons of different nationalities, working in China and especially in Hong Kong. So I don't think in Hong Kong an issue, and really in China, and I don't see any issue with race or anything there. In terms of work visas, that's quite a question. And I would say this and we just hired a young South African who's joining us from Malaysia, who was working there and went and worked and didn't have a work visa for a year, and that's why he wanted to leave. for us, as a larger company, right? So we're a private equity backed business, work with the PG of America. They're a shareholder. So everything we do is kind of above board, fully legal. All of our staff have work permits. Everyone gets paid on time. I think that's kind of the nice thing, that you're working for you're in China, but you're working for a Western company. There's kind of some, if you have a problem, everyone can call me, and we have a full HR team. So we take care of work permitting, visas, health insurance. So we provide basic health insurance for you. So, you have to do police background checks, but our HR team will take you through that whole process. Again, there's been a bunch of bad, everyone hears bad stories. If you're looking at another position in Asia or in China, even if it's not with us, you're more than welcome to send me a note. I don't know everyone in Asia. I definitely know most people in China. So I'm happy to, and there's other good academies and programs out there. So, that you could join. So if there's someone else that you're looking at joining, but you want to ask if I know them or someone on my team knows them, definitely let me know. I'm more than happy to kind of tell you if they're okay, or if I've heard anything bad, bad about them. In terms of, I see one on policies on vaccines. You have to be vaccinated. So you won't get a work permit without being vaccinated. You won't be able to get into into Hong Kong or into China. China right now, they're not checking. So I'd have to ask the team on the HR side if you have to provide it. On a tourist permit right now, you can come in. They won't do anything. I would need to double check if it's on the work permit side right now. It's pretty relaxed, but I would double check. And then I see some questions on coaching positions. Do we have facility management or GMs? Right now for us, we are looking for coaches, directors of instruction. So that'd be a combination role. We don't have any pure management roles. For us, we have a pretty large local team as well. So in every facility, there is a GM, but those GMs tend to be local Chinese or a foreigner who speaks Chinese, right? So at that level, you're managing a local staff. So some of our staff members don't speak English. If they're kind of, I don't know, maybe they're range attendants or something like that. But there are those. We don't have any open spots at that level right now. We have a couple of director of instruction spots where you're overseeing the team, but also in that role, we're still looking for someone to teach pretty much full time. In general, I'd say in China right now, there almost no peer management positions available. It's that side of the business is almost exclusively local Chinese or foreigners who speak fluent Chinese. So if you speak fluent Chinese, I can probably help you get a management job as well. The rest of Asia, I'd say Southeast Asia, there are definitely director of golf and GM jobs that are available where English speaking, and they're still hiring foreigners. It's actually, I'd say, predominantly a Western hire there still. So those jobs are available, but in Hong Kong, there's just no management jobs up. There's only 4 courses, but in each of those courses, there are foreigners who are in kind of director of golf or GM roles. But in China, of the 300 courses, I'd say there's probably 5 foreigners in a GM / director of golf role. So it's not quite as prevalent anymore. And then let me see, Chante, are there any more questions, or did anyone like to ask?
I think we covered, basically, you covered something about the equipment. I don't think we didn't cover the question about the day-to-day life at work. May I? Okay, so the day-to-day life at our work, so the coaches are very much flexible in a sense of you pitch up and whether you have lessons or not, if it's your off day, obviously you don't have to go in. But if you don't have lessons on a day that you have to work, to show up, perhaps you can go hit a few balls, see what the other coaches perhaps need you to do something, or you can go to gym and just like be there for a period amount of time. And then it's very flexible hours. I mean, you are in charge of your own scheduling, your own hours, whether you want to start work at 7 a.m. and finish at 4 p.m. or start work at 10 a.m. or 11 a.m. and finish at 9 p.m. It's all up to you. As long as you give them the hours that they want, over 60, then you will be fine. And also the way you present yourself and the way you give to your clients, I think it's always nice for a company to see whether the coaches are giving back to the company, and then that will also help you a little bit in the long run with clients. And even I found it with kids. If I teach the kids, I interact with the parents. Like I would say to them after the first lesson or so, listen, come sit in, see how your kid is performing. And then they would get so interested that they become a client as well. So the interaction within your clientele is very, very important. They want to see immediately what's happening after like 5 lessons. They want to see a big major change. So just keep that in mind. I know sometimes it's not possible, but also they would want people that's loving and caring and just open enough to help them, obviously, and accept them for who they are as well. So yeah, I think that is basically it. I don't know how many questions.
Yeah, I see one. Look, I would say, Chante, yeah, I mean, our schedules are somewhat flexible, and Chante maybe gets a little more flexibility from Matt, her director, because she's busy, right? So I think that, that's a key, and it depends a little bit on each facility, right? In working kind of with the manager, the director there. But in essence, we're a pretty open company. So as long as you're giving and teaching and working hard, there is that flexibility. And if you're putting the hours in, we want everyone to have a good work-life balance. That's key. And there's, if you're moving over and taking that unique opportunity to come overseas, like I did, I mean, I popped over for a year and it turned into a whole life. The people you meet, the sport and the prices that we charge, you're meeting and you're teaching, honestly, uber wealthy people, right? I teach, a couple of US dollar billionaires, and you meet them, quite often. So, but you meet great people. So it really opens up, some unique opportunities. And you're overseas, right? So there's opportunities to travel and see it. And I do think the nice thing is it's safe, right? I mean, I love South Africa, but I mean, you always have to be a little careful. As Chante said, when my wife's here, she could be out at 2 a.m. and hop in a taxi, and you don't have to worry about anything. And that's the same in Hong Kong and equal in China, right? So I think that's a nice change, right? But there's plenty of great things to do. Yeah. In terms, I had 1 or 2 more. I did share my email and my phone number in the chat. So you guys are always welcome to drop me a line. I'm happy to answer any questions. As I said, I actually spend the majority of my time in Cape Town now. So if you happen to be in the Western Cape and want to meet up, I'm always happy to kind of catch up. I try to play a few of the tournaments. Unfortunately, I'm just back on a plane quite a bit, so don't get to play quite as much as I like, but would be happy to spend more time with anyone. If anyone has any questions, I encourage you just to reach out to myself. Definitely Chante can answer some more if you want, what the transition or what working with us is like. I think positive. I did see one more question in here. Is there the opportunity to teach and play? I guess it would depend a little bit on how much you want to play. We have a couple, coaches who play, I guess, kind of what we consider the local series, quite a bit. Could you play Asian Tour? Potentially, right? I mean, I'd say you'll get into an issue if you're playing too much. Just how do you build a consistent book, right? And what we see is our clients are generally pretty intense, right? So you might have a book of 40 to 50 clients, but like Chante saying, Harv and her little guy takes 5 hours of lessons a week, right? So, and they want to know that you're there fairly consistently. So to pump away in play or take a vacation, of course, they all know that, and we want everyone to do that. But in general, if your aim's to pursue playing, probably over the long run wouldn't work, right? To be honest, I think if you say you want to play a few events a year and do that, especially just to get to know other golf professionals or just to keep the game sharp, people love, the students love to see good golfers, right? That's like, if you can play well, they love that. So there's definitely opportunities to play. Playing full time, I think, honestly, probably a little challenging. And then I saw a note on where do you apply. I mean, to be honest, I have 4 new facilities opening the next 3 months. I could probably hire 15 coaches right now. So across all ranges, that could be at, we even just hired a young apprentice. So it depends on where they are. If you're not fully qualified, it's sometimes hard to get a work permit depending on your age. Up to elite coaches, like elite, I probably have 3 roles for elite level coaching right now, right? So we have a couple director of instruction roles. I have 1 role in our full-time program where you'd be kind of teaching full-time kids. So we have such a wide range, right? If you love working with kids, we have a bunch of new schools coming on. So yeah, there's a bunch of different positions open, and I'm happy to, chat. And then I see contracts. So someone just asked, yeah, or do you have a comment, Chante?
Got a comment. I think there's a lot of I got this question about summer holidays. So we've got summer camps and we've got winter camps. And obviously we fall underneath like the American school time schedule. So they have like 3 months or 3.5 months holiday at one stage. So we run a massive summer camp as we speak, starting middle June, ending end of September. So there's also that's literally given to you on a table that all the coaches can. There's junior coaches, and then there's obviously elite coaches like Matt, my boss. So he doesn't do summer camps, but we have a major summer camp program and winter camp program that is amazing. The kids come from all over China, then they spend a week here, go back to China for the other camps in Mission Hills. So that's very fun. I love teaching, and that's where I met my little star, which is called Harvin, from summer camp. And they will start then also doing private. So there's another clientele for you that you can get from the summer camp to winter camp.
Yeah, and I saw a note on. So I think on the holidays, again, yeah, we do standard. I think it's right now it's like 10 to 12 days of paid holiday. You also get the, I guess, statutory government holidays that even if you work on it, you can accrue and use it. But again, the reality is the majority of the pay is commission based, right? So if you want to take more time off and not teach, you can work with your director and do that. It's really just based on each facility. We have coverage. but you can take that time off. That's no problem. And we do, as Chante said, across every holiday, we run camps. I think we had probably 3,000 kids in camps across all the facilities, this year, and we continue to grow that. In terms of contract length, our contract lengths are technically open-ended, right? So you're not signing a 1 year or a 2 year contract with us. It's open-ended, so you come and it just goes until you leave or we ask you to leave, one of the two. So I'd say, like at Chante, you'll have your work permit, it'll have a specific time that it's approved for to start with. So 2 years, I think is usually what you get, but that's irrelevant, right? So with that, just we automatically renew that. From our side, I'd say, our average coach stays with us probably 5 years, 5 to 7. We have, some of my team have been with me forever. We probably need a commitment, ideally, of at least 2 years, I'd say. It takes a while to build your book, even though you're going to come into hopefully something busy, but you've got to ramp your business up. We're investing in marketing you and training you. We run you through a certification program. All of our team members have the option to do their PG of America membership. So if that's something that's of interest, with South Africa, it's actually just a transfer. So it's a pretty easy process. We will cover your flight over. And if you stay more than, I think it's 1 year, I can't have to look at the contract, 1 year or 2 years, then that we will reimburse you right away. But if you leave within a year or 2 years, then we take that back out. But we'll cover that. So, ideally, and I think for most facilities, they would look at it this way. Most people, I think, would want at least a 2 year commitment, just to take the time, because the clients get invested in it. But I'd say you usually come and end up staying longer than you think. So in terms of coaching level, yeah, I would say it's 100% just by years, right? So there's a little bit of that, but we'll take you through, and you'll spend some time with a couple of our different team members. So Kevin, our director of golf, will interview you, and then more than likely you'll do an interview with our director, teaching quality. So we'll look at your background, your teaching experience, where you want to teach, and then what level you come in at that. So. And then, unless there's any other questions, or Chante, you can think of anything. I put my details back in once or twice, so we really appreciate everyone's interest. More than happy to talk to anyone, and then look forward to having you, a few of you, come over and visit.
Can I put my details?
Sure, you type in the chat and it'll pop up. Yeah. And I can ask, I'll have Ada send back out. I can send back out a little PDF with some additional information, and then the link to that video if it's beneficial. And I would say, since we have Chante on, even though we're agnostic to who we hire, if you are an outgoing female, tons of opportunity. So we have requests from our team to hire outgoing women all the time. So if you have any interest in that, we're hiring lots of guys as well. But if you're outgoing and female, and Chante, I think, has been a great example, and Marley was as well. They're super receptive to that. Over here, I think, Chante, you can probably agree.
Yeah, 100%. Especially there's loads of female students that are very shy. The culture, their culture, they're very, very shy, especially the women as well. So it just makes it easier to interact. And obviously, with men, they have to ask permission to turn their body. You're not allowed to really. They don't like you just touching their hands. You have to say, listen, I'm going to touch your hand now. So that it helps, I think, in that sense. coaching a woman and a little girl. I think they feel a little bit more comfortable in playing golf.
Yeah. So, yeah, thanks again. Oh, I see one moving over to the family, wife and child. It is a possibility, right? And I would say it's doable. I think Hong Kong's a little more challenging, right? Just from a cost perspective. It depends a little bit if you're planning on having your wife work or not, and the age of the kids. So Hong Kong is a little expensive. So if both partners aren't working, so if you come over, we get you a work permit, your partner, wife or husband, they will get a dependent visa. They can work on that. So there is that possibility. So if they happen to be a teacher, like an international school teacher or a teacher there's lots of jobs available. Normal profession maybe is a little more challenging, right? I guess it really depends on kind of the background. I'd say in China, we have a couple coaches with families. Our CEO has 3 kids. My co-CEO has four kids. So that's definitely doable. Cost of schooling can be, if you want, depending on the age, if you want them to go to like an international school, that's pretty expensive, right? So I think in Hong Kong, you're probably looking at 400,000 Rand a year just for each kid for school, the international school. There are some local English-speaking schools, but not as much. China, the same. So I think if you had a young kid, it's no problem. But we have some. You just have to think through that. In China, I'd say it's probably more affordable because the cost of housing is easier. And then, if that is of interest and we feel that there's a role, we'd make sure that we put you in the right city, right? My guess would be we want to keep you in one of the major cities where that transition's a little bit easier for a family. But, it is an expat community, right? So I think Chante would have said, very easy to meet people here. In Hong Kong, super easy on that regard. And actually in Beijing, Shanghai, Shenzhen, there are quite a few foreigners. So I think the transitions may be a little easier than most people think. But if you're moving a family, that is a big change, right? But happy to discuss that, and if someone is of interest and see how realistic it is, or maybe share some more detailed information on kind of cost of living or how much expectations on housing and that type of stuff. So. Well, great. I don't think I see any more questions coming through. Chante, I want to say thank you for the time. We've really enjoyed having the team. You've been a great role model for other South African PGA. We get a lot of our managers asking us to bring South African members over. So I look forward to meeting everyone and hopefully having a few join. So thanks and have a great morning.
Thank you, Raymond. Thank you, Chante. Thanks so much. We appreciate it. And I'm sure you're going to get some questions in the meantime. But you're very
more than happy. So feel free. And again, like I said, it doesn't have to be just with us. I'm more than happy to, I've worked and done events all over, well, mostly all over the world, but all over Asia, especially, and know most of the people. So if you are looking at opportunity somewhere else and just want to kind of vet it, or ask about contracts, employment, work visa, I'm more than happy just to help with that. So feel free to reach out. I'm here. I'm back and forth all the time. Don't worry about time zone, and I can more than happy to hop on a WhatsApp or Zoom with anybody. So thanks again, and look forward to seeing everyone.
Awesome. Thanks so much. Enjoy the rest of your day. Cheers, everyone.